All right, folks, it's March 20th, 2025, and we're going to be talking about the golden age for XRP that we have now entered. Now, funny enough, we had titled the live show the other night, The XRP Finish Line. And in the background of that picture, I had that gold brick path going through some beautiful woods with President Trump on the cover and that little bear, whatever that little bear is. And I'm going to show you, David Schwartz put out a little tweet with a bear in it, funny enough. But I titled the episode XRP Finish Line without knowing that that very next day we were going to get the bombshell news that the SEC is no longer pursuing the case against Ripple. As we've been reporting, because we listened to Stuart Alderati, the chief legal officer of Ripple, the case was over. As I've been saying and reporting, per what Stuart Alderati had to comment, now what Brad Garlinghouse has to say, and as I broke down in my update yesterday, some people still need their hand held to do 2 + 2 = 4. And my mentor, Dan Pena, used to say, even in new maths, 2 + 2 still equals 4. And what I mean by that is folks need to see the official headline out that the SEC has dropped the case before they believe it. They don't listen to Brad Garlinghouse. They don't go through the Ripple market reports. They haven't researched the XRP ecosystem in depth like we have. Folks are very confused, and it's a frustration of mine because to get content out effectively, every title and thumbnail that I make has to have XRP hype. It's just how the game works. But if you watch my content, what you find is we break down an analysis on current events, all of the financial markets from a fundamental basis, technical analysis, and we put together something that's easy enough for the common person to understand. Never have pretended to be a guru or have the most complex, sophisticated trading program. I don't even use many trading indicators. I keep my program very simple. We've stacked fundamental utility positions, and we are sitting so pretty right now. Do we want to be higher? Of course. And we saw the order book get filled up with those sell orders that were sitting on the exchanges already. And the news coming out from Brad Garlinghouse was not enough to push us past that sell wall that we had at 260. I've never been afraid to acknowledge where we're at, but I also will never shy away or back down from where we are going. And so you would be sadly mistaken if you think that for 1 second I'm going to cry because XRP is not at $5 yet. It's time to lock in or get left behind. It's just that simple. If you don't know what you hold, if you don't do fundamental research, this might not be for you. Go chase Mickey Mouse coin. And we got a few of those on the XRP ledger now too. So I would encourage you to do so if you're going to do it on the XRP ledger with your Mickey Mouse coins. But the reason why we're so comfortable, somebody commented on my video earlier, you're always smiling. It's what happens when you hold a lot of XRP. And our portfolio is comprised of XRP and other utility fundamental investments that are favored by institutions when we've seen this proof of concept phase for the past basically, 5-6 years that we've gotten significant trialing and testing from the institutions. Now we're in the go live phase, right? I titled the episode last live show on Tuesday, XRP Finish Line. We're finishing up our pathway through the storm. We're going to end the rough, bumpy road, and we're going to transition to the smooth sailing one. Sure enough, the very next day, I didn't know this was going to happen, but we get the update from Brad Garlinghouse that the case is over. Now we enter the golden age. And this is not just in relation to XRP. This isn't even me saying this. This is directly from President Trump. This is directly from Executive Director of Digital Assets for President Trump, Bo Hines. Another thing that's directly from President Trump, XRP will be in the U.S. crypto reserves. Stockpile, reserve, doesn't matter what we call it. No. What matters is that our token has significant adoption. And they are still doing everything that they can to FUD XRP, spread misinformation and lies about XRP. One of the things that we're going to talk about later in this episode is breaking down the total supply of XRP, how it truly is, technically speaking, all circulating. And the standard that's applied to XRP for some reason is more stringent. and CoinMarketCap and these other data aggregators that provide data on these cryptos, they don't consider the escrow circulating. Is this another way that XRP is suppressed and manipulated? I believe so. Because when you look at the fully diluted value of XRP, we've actually already flipped Ethereum. That bag of XRP that Ripple owns is worth something. I've talked about this in regards to the Ripple valuation. It's grossly undervalued at $20 billion in a valuation, while their bag of XRP is over $100 billion. That math ain't mathin'. And somebody's going to need to hold my hand and walk me through and explain that one. Because even if you discount the XRP that they hold in escrow significantly, you still have a bag of XRP that's worth, discount the bag by half, right? The net asset value would be $100 billion, but because it's locked up in escrow, what do? We cut it in half, cut it in 75%. I mean, this is what we have to do. And in the private equity market, because these aren't as liquid, this is basically us setting the market. It's a small group of investors because the SEC rules for accredited investors has locked out and not really, been accessible to the average person. So the reason why I open up with this dialogue here is to explain where we're at in this XRP journey. We have crossed the finish line of the rough patch of the race. The hilly part of the race, right? Well, we got a 5K or whatever the race is, whatever the deal is. We've gotten through the mountains and now we're in smooth sailing. In fact, we're not even on the flat level ground. We're going downhill, right? With President Trump guiding us to a golden age for America, for all of digital assets, and in particular, you are seeing that XRP is in control of the narrative. Good news for XRP yesterday, adds $100 billion to the entire cryptocurrency space. And because the appetite for risk is not as strong, we have a sell-off in crypto. We have a sell-off in the stock market because the main theme that we see right now is uncertainty. And I'm going to show you a few points here to exemplify what I mean. Ukrainian strike hits Russia's only gas transit route to Europe. So despite us getting excited about cryptos, what's taking place around the world? Well, there's still a World War III going on. Despite the peace talks, Ukraine, Russia, we're supposed to have peace, but now we have Ukraine striking the only gas transit route to Europe through the Russia-Kursk region. Uncertainty is the theme, and you heard Jerome Powell mention it a couple times in his speech yesterday. The percentage of borrowers at least 60 days late on their car payments is at the highest on record. The real economy on Main Street is squeezed. This is why the risk appetite's not there. From an institutional perspective, these guys are sipping champagne and can't wait to sell these products, can't wait to deploy all the capital that they're sitting on. You want examples of it? Take a look at how much cash Warren Buffett's sitting on. Take a look at the M2 money supply. There is plenty of cash already on the sidelines before we even get to quantitative easing. At the retail level, though, it is frustration. It is basically it is a squeeze. We're seeing credit card debt at its highest level ever. The number of borrowers here on their car payments, 60 days late, highest ever. There's a theme here. Uncertainty and unheard of, unseen levels of debt that we've never been at before. And we wonder, well, why isn't everybody just aping all of their money into XRP right now? Why isn't XRP at $5 and $10? Because there's not a bunch of people on the sidelines right now, as we sit here today, just waiting to offload and full port, their entire net worth to XRP like some of us did over the past 5-6 years. And boy, is that paying off now. Because as it starts to arrive, that appetite for risk, as the quantitative easing becomes, and before we even get to the quantitative easing, what did I tell you to watch for at this Fed meeting? The reduction in quantitative tightening, and that's exactly what we got from the Fed. And people think I just type up XRP for a living. There's a little bit more that goes into this analysis. There's a little bit more that goes into this program. There's a reason why we're directly over the target, time and time again. We're not just hyping up crypto despite what some people think. And this analysis is what leads us to performing so well in the digital asset space. 4.5 trillion set to expire for tomorrow's options expiration, but the great majority of that are puts. S&P 500 max pain price is currently at 580. Now, this shows you that despite the squeeze being on Main Street, despite that poor economic data, despite the fact that we're probably going into a recession, people still buy Trump coin. People still buy Melania coin. People still buy a Mickey Mouse coin. There's $4.5 trillion worth of bets on our stock market. This is not something that is just isolated to crypto. And I'm talking about degeneracy and over leverage. Today's price is not a reflection of fundamental value. Okay. And what everybody's trying to bet on right now is the volatility that is very, very clearly present. Now, I wanted to share this news here from Scottsdale Mint. They are highlighting the fact that the White House just passed a new executive order that slashes regulations, fast-tracks U.S. mining, and prioritizes domestic gold and other critical mineral production to secure our economy and reduce foreign mining reliance. In fact, I think I just saw somebody actually put in a request. I think I just got an email alert for precious metals, and that would be smart because this is where clarity comes in. As I started off, it's all uncertainty. There's some rough stuff going on. There's a war going on. There's some bad actors and agents that have been activated here in the United States of America. You know exactly what I'm talking about. I can't really talk about it in depth, but you know exactly what I'm talking about. Where do we have clarity? I just watched my recession to-do list video that I put out back in June of 2022. And in that recession to-do list, I noted, this is exactly what we were going to be going through. Get liquid, secure your income, and be ready to ride out the storm. And I finished off by saying, you need to be the one to bring order to the chaos within your family, within your business, within your community. How far can you get your reach out? And I've told you that that's the only regret that I have about the past few years since making content since 2021 is that I wasn't able to get further reach. Not that I'm not trying, I'm doing everything I can, but it's the only thing I think we're going to look back and regret on is that we didn't tell more family members. We didn't tell more friends. There was maybe a few other things that we could have done strategy-wise to be more effective, but you learn that looking back. I'm a much different investor here in 2025 than I was back in 2018 when I first started investing, and I started in crypto, right? And so this has taken me quite some time. Back to the point that I was making about clarity, you see clarity from this administration, fast-tracking U.S. mining, slashing regulations, prioritizing domestic gold and other critical mineral production. Okay, is it a time to be bearish on some assets? 1,000%. 100%. It is time to be bearish on large cap stocks, maybe some tech stocks that are overvalued, some tech stocks that are going to be disrupted, some other companies that are slashing large percentages of their workforce, scaling operations back significantly. But where is it time to get bullish? Well, are you listening to this administration? Are you watching the executive orders? Are you seeing what President Trump is asking Congress to get on his desk by the June recess? Not only stablecoin legislation, but also broader market structure bill as well. Talking about entering the golden age. And if you think for 1 second it doesn't include gold and precious metals and minerals, you would be sadly mistaken. Especially if you don't take advantage of that opportunity like we have investing in the precious metals. And the mining stocks have lagged. But is now a time to get bullish on U.S. mining companies? Very well could be. In fact, we've been talking, that's why I've been going to Vancouver Resource Investment Conference, despite, how lagging the mining companies have been. Gold and silver have been blasting off. And so what have I done so far? Just stack silver. Transition into gold as that ratio, comes back to a more normal level, while also picking over U.S. mining companies. Why? Because now this is a jurisdiction for business and investment and capitalists to thrive. Very simple. 2 + 2 still equals 4, even in new math. This is what you're seeing in crypto. Every single crypto company that got formed in the Bahamas, the Cayman Islands, did an ICO in Japan, did something deal somewhere else, is now scrambling, running to get into the United States of America. These mining operations and these mining companies that have been trying to invest and build in America will finally be able to do so. It is a very clear directive on why we should be so bullish and what exactly we need to be bullish on. Now, speaking of being bullish, this is the trend. See, President Trump, along with others, are setting us down that path. They're telling us where the final destination ends, and it's at no income tax. The Mississippi legislature has overwhelmingly voted to eliminate the state income tax, a historic win for Mississippi workers in the future of our economy. Now, you're seeing the same thing with precious metals, where states throughout this republic are making gold and silver legal tender. Why are you bearish? You're seeing states remove income tax. Why would you be bearish? I literally can't fathom being bearish about these fundamental utility cryptocurrencies along with the metals and the minerals and the resources and the real value, what really runs this economy. Are you looking at a different reality? Speaking of an alternative reality, David Schwartz posted a little picture of the bear today, and I know the Riddlers are going to go crazy with this one. I thought this was pretty funny as we transition into the crypto portion of this update. David Schwartz has a great sticker for us. Only you can prevent forest fires. Seriously, we've been defunded. It's just you now. Let me give you the full shot on that. There you go. There you go, from David Schwartz. Great sticker. That's the bear. I'm sure the Riddlers are going to be having fun with that one. Okay. This is one more funny note before we get serious about crypto. I got to play Michael Saylor here, folks. Check this out. It's getting wild out here. Speaking of alternative reality, where is Michael Saylor at?
For the mainstream, when you say digital gold, what that tells them is that instead of giving away a gold medal at the Olympics, maybe it's time for a Bitcoin medal at the Olympics. What it means is that the golden age will give way to the Bitcoin age. What it means is a city with streets paved in gold maybe should be paved in Bitcoin. What it means is that if something is gold-plated, and that's how you monetize anything, a gold-plated lighter, a gold-plated pen, maybe it should be Bitcoin-plated, right? This is a very profound thing, right? The truth, Bitcoin is digital gold.
What is profound about that? Streets that are paved with gold should be paved with Bitcoin? What is profound about this? What is going on? Can I get a vibe check from anybody still holding Bitcoin in the chat? Anybody in the Bitcoin community? And I know we got some. I know we got our usual trolls are probably here. I'm not even going to comment. I'm just, it's an alternative reality that they're living in from mine. And I have nothing against it, as long as you're living in peace. And it looks like Michael Saylor is, other than his most recent scheme of offering back, what is that, 10% cash? He's now with his new bonds or the new offering that he has, the new deal, part of his scheme here, offering 10% paid back in cash. They don't have cash. They have Bitcoin. There's no yield on Bitcoin. You guys let me know what you think about that one. I have few pieces of comedy before we get serious about crypto. Bo Hines, under the leadership of President Trump and our AI crypto czar David Sachs, we will usher in the golden age for digital assets, ensuring that the United States is the crypto capital of the world. Now, this is President Trump tuning into the Digital Asset Summit, speaking and delivering about a 3-minute pre-recorded statement. Very bullish. What's hilarious, though, is just how impatient we are getting in the digital asset space. I mean, if you would have said years ago that the President of the United States was going to be calling in to a crypto conference, everybody would have been like, hell yeah, man, that's awesome. Like, we're waiting to get this type of exposure. Now that it's happening, and I know some people just can't stand Trump, so the fact that it's Trump is just a turn off right away for some. And don't let that stop you from taking advantage of the transfer of wealth if that is you. But this is incredibly bullish, right? But if Trump doesn't come out and say, hey, I'm pumping Bitcoin to 1 million and I'm pumping XRP to 10,000, people aren't satisfied. I mean, what is going on? I mean, this is an incredible opportunity, point that we've now made it to, where the president of the United States is now actively showing up at crypto conferences. He showed up at the Bitcoin conference while he was running for office. Now that he's in office, he's the first sitting president to actually speak at a crypto conference. Promises made, promises kept. He's showing us that the direction we're heading is to make America the leaders in the digital asset space. And this is going to be a golden age for America as it applies to the entire country, our new economy rebuilding from the ground up, and the digital asset space. And the reason why I titled it The Golden Age of XRP is because we finished the storm. We finished the rough road. And we now are in the clear for XRP completely. There is nothing holding us back. Was the thesis for us over the past 6 years that XRP was going to moonshot to $100 the day after the case settled? That was never part of the analysis. Did we think that XRP might pump after the case settled? Yes. XRP already has pumped, and it's still up over 350% from election day. So zoom out, and depending on where you measure from, XRP is still up 350% since Trump took office, a clear direction that XRP is heading in. Do we want to see more? Yes. Are you going to get more? Absolutely. As long as you strap in, don't throw too much of a fit, hang tight, and enjoy the ride. Because at the end of this month, March 27th, we have the hearing for Paul Atkins. And that's the next phase in getting him confirmed for the SEC. Moving forward, it's time to celebrate. We're moving forward. We're moving ahead. It is time to build. This is the golden age for XRP, where there's no more excuses. The price will follow. Fundamentally, we're just getting started when it comes to our DeFi, when it comes to our ecosystem, when it comes to what you can do with the XRP ledger. For crying out loud, we just got an AMM. For heaven's sakes. I mean, come on. You haven't been able to do anything with XRP. And now you're starting to see the programs arrive. And I'm going to talk about it more here later. But it's time to celebrate. I said, see y'all in Vegas. Going to be a party. Plus, we have $25,000 cash to the best developer idea. That's going to be Easy A in partnership with Digital Perspectives and XRP Las Vegas. They're going to be giving away $25,000 cash to the best developer idea. I'm going to play this clip here. The MGM Grand. I saw Grant Cardone was hosting the 10X Growth Conference at the MGM Grand Arena. And I'm going to have to tell Brad, I think next year we might have to get that arena because I think we're going to go bigger. We're going to be going even bigger next year too. You think about what XRP is going to be at, not just price-wise, but fundamentally speaking, DeFi perspective, the amount of institutional exposure that this asset's about to get. You got some big hitters getting on stage up here. $25,000 for the best Web3 project idea. That's putting some serious cash in the hands of some developers. And this is really circling back to one of the key takeaways that I had from the interview that I aired last night with Austin King, who was a former Rippler. Now, the feedback that I got from that interview has been incredible, and I'm really glad that you guys appreciated it. I thought that he was a very insightful guest. Someone who was on the inside of Ripple. His first company, he sold off to Ripple. He then worked with Ripple for a year, and then he moved on. He's now started a new company, a new network, Omni Network, that plans to integrate with the XRP ledger. But one of the key takeaways was the fact that he reiterated what Brad Garlinghouse and others have said, that XRP is the heartbeat of Ripple. When I asked him directly, is Ripple ready to fund these projects, these developers, this ecosystem? Because everybody complains. They get mad if Ripple invests in a project that fails. Oh, why'd Ripple give money to those folks? And then they get mad if Ripple gives money to a project that's successful because folks are mad that although they gave it to a successful project, they wish it would have gone to them, right? I mean, Ripple can't win, And Brad spoke of this in his Bloomberg interview yesterday, saying that people are mad if we hold too much XRP, but then people are mad if we sell XRP. And I'm going to play the clip later. I got the interview queued up of him talking about how that's going to change down the road, how they're going to be selling less XRP. That's the end goal. If you listen to Trump, it's very clear the direction and the end goal. If you listen to Brad Garlinghouse, it's very clear the direction and the end goal. And we just have to accumulate as much as possible in the meantime. But I asked Austin King directly, is Ripple going to be ready to fund these and throw big money behind? And he said, it's very straightforward. Many people are confused about this, essentially. I'm paraphrasing what he said. People think that things can be good for XRP, but not good, things are good for Ripple, but not good for XRP. Everything that Ripple is doing for XRP is going to help the valuation it's going to help XRP fundamentally price-wise, which circles back to the valuation of the company Ripple, which is heavily based off the price of XRP. As I spoke about and mentioned earlier, I've been talking about this for a while. It's grossly undervalued, Ripple stock. And this is with XRP at $2, let alone where we're about to go here in short order. So Austin reiterating the point that Ripple 100% is committed to seeing the price of XRP go up. But he said, did they ever say that explicitly? No, because they're professionals, and that's not how professionals work. Remember, there's nobody better in the business at presenting themselves than Brad Garlinghouse and the Ripple team as a whole, whether it be Monica Long, Brad, David Schwartz. David Schwartz is probably the best developer that I've ever heard explain this technology. It's very difficult for a lot of these developers to explain this. Their minds don't operate as mine does as far as delivering and speaking every single day for a living. We get pretty good at this. These developers, and Austin King, what he told us was very simple. Everything that they're doing for XRP, is ultimately to benefit XRP, the ecosystem, because they know how much it benefits them. Now, I'm looking forward at Vegas because we get to sit in the same room and shake hands with the professionals, with the community. They're going to, that have been part of helping us all ride this out together, right? The professionals is great because they help us execute our wealth building strategies, our wealth preservation strategies, different products and offerings. And the world's about to open up for XRP DeFi. And I've been very clear that you got to be careful because a lot of people want your XRP. And we got to verify, a lot of people want your XRP and they want your money. That's the thing about the XRP community is a lot of us already have businesses cooking, already have significant wealth. This is not the average crypto community. There's significant wealth already present, which is why there's a very different mindset in the XRP community. But not only do we get to shake hands and have a drink with the professionals that help us, but we get to hang out with the community that got us here. Like, I just can't wait to see you guys. I'm so bullish right now, and the outlook right here is so great. But yet people are so focused on today's price. I barely even checked the price today, right? And I think that the point that I was making earlier about how we're still battling misrepresentations about XRP, the ETH gate entities are still working against us. Perfect point and example is right here with what Brad Garlinghouse had to do by correcting Charlie Gasparino, who said that it's now obviously the question remains about the other part of the case, but it's clear that the current SEC believes XRP passes the Ethereum decentralized test as it's trading today. That is a load of hot you-know-what. And Charlie Gasparino is getting community noted right here. I didn't even realize that, but I absolutely love to see it. Not only did he get corrected by Brad Garlinghouse, he also got hit with the community notes. On behalf of Fox Business, what are we doing here with Charlie Gasparino right now? But we know it's very clear. We know it's very clear who's in Charlie's pockets because this narrative, this term, only comes from certain entities that have been trying to maintain and keep that Ethereum free pass for years. There is no Ethereum decentralization test at the SEC. This is fiction. And as Jimmy Valley says right here, the fact that leading journalist Charlie Gasparino of Fox Business reasonably believed that there was a Ethereum decentralization test is proof of how poorly the SEC's regulation by enforcement regime has been for the digital asset industry in the global economy. And for the misrepresentations, I would say, of basically the facts of the XRP case and the facts of the Hinman speech. It's a gross misrepresentation. And we ask ourselves, why aren't more retail traders seeing what we're seeing? Right? Why are we such a small group of XRP investors? There's really only a few million of us. There's tens of millions more that know about XRP, but they haven't invested. And there's a bunch of people that haven't seen anything. Well, why is this? Because on Fox Business and other platforms, they're allowing this crap to be spewed. Right? Why does the average person who's just tuning into the television not know about XRP or the darling on Wall Street that's going to be the Ripple IPO? Because it's not being talked about. And if it is, it's still being misconstrued and being brought back to basically negatively represent XRP while positively mentioning and representing Ethereum. It is absolutely disgusting. Now, what's going to happen though? I'm asking you guys right now in the chat. TikTok, YouTube, X. Who's fighting for us right now? Have we gotten a plan from John Deaton? Who's fighting for the XRP community and working for compensation for the massive damages that were done? Who's working for the American people? And honestly, it shouldn't even be an American thing. The problem here, and this is about to reverse, so it's about to get good, don't worry. The country, America, which kept XRP suppressed through the SEC. For you guys that are outside the United States, my apologies on behalf of America and our SEC and the American people for us allowing this to take place with all this corruption. My apologies on behalf of America, but strap in and lock in because this is about to completely 180, completely turn around. And you're about to see the country that held XRP back is now going to be the country to send us to the golden age. So we are going to make up for it, okay? Please be patient with us as an American. Please be patient with us. But Jimmy Valley asked the question, and I'm asking the question to the chat right now. What are the damages caused by almost 7 years of the world believing that the SEC adopted a Ethereum decentralization test when the entire time that was a lie concocted by Bill Hinman and his handlers? The largest financial lawfare fraud in history. Jimmy Valley tags our president, David Sachs, Patrick Bet-David, and the Crypto Justice Coalition, which is a group that Jimmy Valley has formed. And I can't wait to update you guys on this, because the good news is I do know of some people that are still fighting on behalf of XRP holders, at least in America. I wish we could fight on behalf of XRP holders worldwide, but we got to start somewhere. In the bio of this profile right here, fighting the SEC's 500 billion XRP takings, $8 to $10 token payback. Trump's America First EO backs us. Unleash hell. Now, I've been speaking with Jimmy. Somebody asked me today, hey, Zach, what about your little buyback? Da-da-da-da-da. Lock in, my friend. Because if you think for 1 second that we've stopped, you would be mistaken. There are still patriots that are willing to fight for you. There are some, not everyone. Some people come, some people go. Is a fight really being put up? Ask yourself this question. I'll give you the quick sneak peek, and it's right there in the bio. I'm not saying anything that's not public. Because, we're not going to talk about this till the time is right. But it is coming. And what we're seeking is 500 billion, which is what the market cap of XRP would have been if it went to $8 to $10. And Trump. He's not interested in any deals that are less than 100 billion. So this is right up his alley. How do you showcase to the world that you want to enter the golden age, that you want to make things right? Shannon says, get the folder. And Shannon, for you Canadians too, I mean, everybody worldwide, I wish that we could do a worldwide deal. We're working on saving our country right now. And once we do that, we'll be there to save you. I'm looking at some of you other guys up in Canada, over in England. Holy cow. What's taking place? We're still fighting here, though. And there's more to come. But chat, ask yourselves, who's really fighting for you? Or is this something that's just going to fade away? Not on our watch. Not on our watch. Okay? As we enter this golden age, grasping how big the opportunity is very critical. It's going to stop us from selling too soon and being short-sighted, because this space is set to, maybe double up from our previous all-time high. We were at 3 trillion. Brad Garlinghouse talked about 5 trillion. The estimates range from 5 to 10 trillion over the next year or so. We'll see how high we end up topping out at. But that's far from being over. This is just this current cycle. And to the cycle's end, and as we enter that utility area, we've had those conversations as well. The cycles end when the tens of trillions show up. And that's exactly what's coming from Ondo Finance. Tokenization is just getting started, while adoption for tokenized US Treasuries has seen tremendous growth. The total opportunity for global equity markets is exponentially larger, in excess of $100 trillion. This is something else I talked about with Austin yesterday. And you've heard David Schwartz mention this in his recent speeches. It's the boring stuff right now. We move away from the big pump coin, the meme coin hype stuff, right? The silly stuff. I got big pump coin here. That's not an actual ticker. That's not financial advice. If somebody makes that ticker, don't buy it. Big pump coin. Don't do it. We're leaving that era, and the boring stuff that's not as interesting is what actually brings in the 100 trillion plus on chain, and that's where we move. As we enter the golden age of XRP, you're also going to see a DeFi explosion this year. This has already started, and I'm very hesitant right now on anybody getting my XRP. Let's be very clear about this. I want to take a step back, and I want to take a sip of my adult beverage, because I'm getting hot up in here. How are you guys? Maybe it's the fire I got cooking right here with the bear. We got a little fire cooking tonight, huh?